Welcome to CHOPS and Pops. It is July 26, 2015, and of all the sights and sounds to be seen and heard, you are here with us. Thank you so very much for listening here on our YouTube channel. I am Andy.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Shane.
Today, we're going to talk about Hulk Hogan controversy ends legendary wrestler's affiliation with the WWE. Wow, what a mouthful. New Japan kicking off the G1 Climax. Gentlemen, let's do it.
First things first, this Hulk Hogan guy, I heard he's been around for a while, and he has some pretty weird things to say.
Yeah.
I don't know if weird was the right way to describe that.
I would say, bad.
Unique.
Bad things to say.
I think it's stronger than unique.
Honest.
Yeah, wow.
From his point of view.
Right. Yeah, be careful. Because that's actually the way I was going to introduce this, is there might actually be new listeners to the show just for the sake that this is such a big news item right now that so many people are tapped into. Some people feel very strongly about it, one way or the other. And seems like a lot of people that don't really tune into wrestling that often are pretty tapped into this. So if you're listening to this for the first time, thank you for listening.
Right.
But yeah, this is a very delicate thing to approach.
And to our international listeners, just try and understand that the country that we live in is a very politically correct country, and we must obey those rules, so we are going to do our best, are we not?
Right. And I'm
Correct.
glad you pointed it out, because we actually have a new viewer in Trinidad and Tobago.
Oh, awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah. But yeah, so Hulk Hogan, he done messed up.
Oh,
He did.
Oh.
He has.
He had it all in his hands, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to take the approach of this, of explaining it to you, that would be the proper thing to do with any type of news story, is to explain what happened. I think everybody and their mother has heard of what Hulk Hogan was taped saying. It was taped back in 2006. The backstory is that Gawker obtained a sex tape of his from a while back of when he hooked up with Bubba the Love Sponge's wife. And supposedly on that tape is where he made the comments that he made. I don't know. How do you guys want to approach this? What do you have to say about this situation?
How can we put it in proper context?
I mean, we're the wrestling fans, so like I said, everybody and their mother is commenting on this, whether you like wrestling or not, whether you used to watch it when you were a kid and you heard about it. Everybody knows who Hulk Hogan is, regardless of the business. But we are wrestling fans. I do want to say, though, that doesn't necessarily create a bias, because I think that's kind of something that's happened with the Hogan story, is there's a lot of people that already hated Hulk Hogan. There were a lot of people that love Hulk Hogan that would probably defend him in any scenario.
Of course.
But as much as we're a wrestling podcast, I'm speaking for myself, I have no bias when it comes to this, because granted, he is, the guy when it comes to wrestling. There's been plenty of times I thought he acted like a scumbag. So I'm not somebody who's going to sit here and defend him, while at the same time I don't have so much hate pulsing through my veins that I just want to tear the guy apart. I feel like I am kind of neutral, or not neutral in terms of, condemning him for what he said. I just mean neutral in terms of, if he messed up, and if I think there's a part to defend him on, I would defend him on. I'm not saying I am, but how do you guys feel?
I have to say that it may sound a little vague, but I think I'm still on the fence as to how much I care about, Hulk Hogan in this situation. I know how PC we are nowadays, and I know that everybody has to atone for their sins, even if it came 9 years ago. You have to be held accountable for point of view comments such as that, especially when they're racist. It's terrible that things finally came full circle. Hulk Hogan, strongly returned back to WWE. Had a great part in 30 at WrestleMania 30. Has been making strides in being on Tough Enough and being a part of Raw. They just celebrated his birthday on Raw. They They have two characters now on the roster, one of which is a...
Not anymore.
Yeah, not anymore.
Told to immediately stop doing that.
No more Axelmania running wild.
And I'm just, I hate that it has to be this way. I do. I'd love to.
Elaborate on that.
I wanted him to have a more solid future with WWE, especially that we're in the era now where they're pushing for the future, and there's no stronger symbol of the past of WWE than Hulk Hogan. He is
at least alive anymore, anyway.
Yeah, and it seemed like WWE wanted him to be the representative of the past, especially with him being on Tough Enough. For however bad that show is, it's symbolic of that. He's still a voice, and if it wasn't for him at WrestleMania 1, 3 might not be here right now. Ultimately, it could have failed. It could have gone downhill quick. So I guess in summation, he's a very big part of the company, the big reason why it is where it is today. Hogan, you done messed up, boy.
So you're upset where it's at, but at the same token, he's the one to be held accountable for, and the disappointment in the fact that somebody who was, the face, the picture of wrestling and the WWE, it's his own fault.
Exactly. You
Okay.
do have to be accountable. You're an adult, and you should have known better than to say things like that.
What about you, Andy? Your 2 cents.
I'm allowed to curse, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He's a fucking idiot.
Okay.
Listen, as a public figure, as somebody in the limelight, somebody who gets recorded and has been in the limelight, has been on TV, has headlined WrestleManias, has been in Madison Square Garden, has been in movies and television shows, you can't say these things. You are no longer afforded the certain liberties like that because you are a public figure, and whether you like it or not, you are a role model. And even if it's a private video, in any situation where you're being recorded, you should never be saying that as a public figure. And as a private person, regular people shouldn't be saying it anyway, but especially as a person in the public, you cannot say things in that nature. Period. Hulk Hogan is not my friend. So
You guys don't hang out on the weekends?
no, I was a Warrior guy.
Right.
Always a Warrior guy.
Oh, yeah.
And because of the bad blood between him and Warrior for as long as that was, no love for Hulk Hogan for me.
And I do think that affects people's take on this.
Yeah. My
spoke-
dad was very upset. He was a big Hulk Hogan fan back in the day, and he was very upset. Now he roots for Bray Wyatt. Loves Bray Wyatt.
Good change. Good
Yeah,
change.
he liked the Firefly thing at the live show. It's like, this is fucking girl. Oh my god, look at it, the lights.
That is pretty cool.
He's like a cat sometimes. But Hulk Hogan, he done goofed.
Brother.
Just because there is so many different ways to analyze this, I mean, I don't want to sound wrong in saying that, what's wrong is wrong. Speaking in that manner, absolutely wrong. No defending it. No beating around the bush, or no, saying that just because of the times excuse. It's flat out wrong. But in terms of analyzing this differently because of the wrestling business, there's different ways to look at that. For example, the way that you bring up the fact that he is a public figure, and not only just a public figure, he was somebody that was basically the symbol of goodness. You know what I mean?
Right.
That he was a hero.
Yeah.
That part was already tainted in my eyes. That was way before 2015. Because he was a dude who was big in the 80s, and while he's telling everyone to say their prayers and take their vitamins, he's blowing coke off of strippers. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right.
He was never the same type of guy that he was promoting as Hulk Hogan.
Right.
That part to me was never equal. But the one thing I do want to touch on, because the wrestling business, I mean, sure, Hollywood could get just as messed up and screwed up too, but the wrestling business isn't exactly wholesome, I guess
No.
is the way to put it. The one thing I do want to bring up is the business side of this with the WWE's actions in terms of what they've done. In terms of firing Hulk Hogan, I want to get your guys' feels. I 100% agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
You cannot keep that guy employed. No. Regardless of the wrestling business, any job, you get heard saying that, they're not going to keep you. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
But then there's that extra step of the idea of erasing him from history. I do understand that merchandise has to get cut off. I do understand that any association like Tough Enough can no longer do. And not that anything was set in stone yet or is announced. There was the talk of removing him from the Hall of Fame. That's the one thing I do kind of have an issue with. Just because it opens up a can of worms. And a lot of people have pointed this out with the Hulk Hogan situation, that when WWE starts paying or brings too much attention to a situation like this, people start doing their digging. And I have a couple things I want to say about it, but the one thing we haven't mentioned yet, which I actually even off-air didn't ask you guys if you knew about, was Vince McMahon saying the N-word on WWE television.
Yeah, I saw that.
So now we kind of turn the page and start talking about the hypocrisy of the WWE. That's a whole different subject. And I'm actually kind of proud of how we've approached this so far, that we did start this off as saying there's no justification for speaking this way. Hulk Hogan's dead wrong. We're a wrestling podcast that talks about wrestling every single week. We've made it clear Hulk Hogan was in the wrong. There's this other side to it, though, as wrestling fans and as a business, that WWE has just as many skeletons in their own closet. And the point I'm making is that when they start bringing too much attention to Hulk Hogan for what he did, people start paying attention to what the WWE has done. So what do you guys have to say about Vince McMahon dropping the N-word on WWE television back in 2005, which was 1 year before Hulk Hogan was taped saying these things?
The difference is clear, though. That's what...
In what way?
Vince is, invincible. Hulk Hogan's only the immortal one. You can't... I don't think that, in the grand scheme of things... When we talk about, erasing Hulk Hogan from history, come on, we don't. You didn't even have to take his stuff off the website, to be completely honest here, because when people 50, 60 years from now say the name Hulk Hogan, the first thing they're going to think about is wrestling. And taking him out of the WWE Hall of Fame means something to us now, but in the future, we're still going to associate the two. The first thing is not going to be racist when it comes to it's the first thought that comes to our heads, at least in my general opinion, my assumption is not going to be he's a racist. It's he was a legend. He was a wrestler. And I think they're just making a point of how they don't want to be associated with not Hulk Hogan, but a known racist.
So that's kind of going a little off topic. But in topic of that, do you think it's a situation where time heals all wounds? And do you think years from now, whether he's brought back into the company or not, one thing we also didn't mention is people are comparing this to the Chris Benoit situation. That with the Chris Benoit situation, he was erased from WWE history. These are two totally different ends of the spectrum. And again, I'm glad we approached this the way we approached this, because we are not saying in any way, shape, or form that Hulk Hogan was, or that it's in some way okay. It's not.
No.
But in terms of murder... very different.
Absolutely.
Very different. So, it's just that, do you think in time, at least the Hulk Hogan name will be more acceptable in WWE history books? In
much the same way that Pete Rose is still known as a baseball player. For the rest of his life, he's never going to get into the Hall of Fame. And he's always going to be looked at as an outcast for the crimes that he committed, morally and legally. And this is going to be the same with Hulk Hogan. My prediction is Hulk Hogan going to live the rest of his life in shame. I think that's what they're going to do here. The same thing as Pete Rose. And they're after his time is done and when he passes, and then after this generation and probably the next generation of wrestling fans moves past whatever eras come in the future, I think they're still going to look back and be like Hulk Hogan, pioneer. I think they're going to be still thinking. Time doesn't heal all wounds, because in this instance, time isn't going to change how big of a deal racism is. Racism will always be an issue.
That's a good point, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be something that doesn't change. It may get more serious.
I mean, look at our society now.
How
from
tight
where we were in the middle of the 1900s, and we've just fallen back.
Yeah. If he had said this 30, maybe 40 years ago, would have been taken with a grain of salt. Also, he would have been obviously more mainstream and more popular, but would we have been more accepting
just to clarify,
of it?
not more popular for saying that.
No.
Going back in time, he
Right.
was more popular back then.
Right.
Just to clarify.
Would we have been more accepting of it? Probably.
I don't know,
This
because
was
that
after the
still
Civil
goes
Rights
back to the
movement,
same idea that he was seen as a hero. And even though things could have been different in some ways, I don't think that would have been acceptable from a public hero. But since we fell off topic a little bit, Andy, about the Vince McMahon thing, dropping the N-word on WWE TV, how do you feel about it?
You know, it's really bad when you go back and watch it in light of this incident, because he says it to John Cena back when John Cena was, I believe he was still doing the kind of word life thing.
Yeah,
so
that
he
was
still kinda
2005.
like the hip hop. You're looking at hip hop John Cena, and right after he says it, the camera pans over, and who's sitting there? It's Booker T.
And Charmel,
Yeah.
his real life wife.
Yeah. And I think the look on his face kind of says it in that situation. Just like, what are you doing? Like, it's not funny.
Right.
It's not.
Well, I'm glad you brought up funny, because that's the whole point of the defense of the WWE. Not just that it was humorous, that it's entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
That there are they're two totally different things. That they did it as a form of entertainment. This was in Hulk Hogan's personal life, in his own personal time.
Right.
My problem with that is that, okay, say you want to use the excuse of this being for pure entertainment for your company.
Mm-hmm.
Then, because there's been that defense before about controversial characters like Eugene, somebody who plays a character with Down syndrome.
Yeah.
And the idea that he is just a character who is representing somebody who actually exists in society. I can take that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually worked with people with Down syndrome, so if anybody should take offense to it, it would be me. But with something like dropping the N-word, what's the payoff?
Yeah,
there was no storyline.
No.
Vince McMahon, as much as he fills the character of, the white powerful billionaire, the only payoff, it was a one-time skit that wasn't part of a storyline, and the only payoff was so Booker T could say his catchphrase of, "Tell me you did not just say that." Is dropping the N-word really worth that? Like, you couldn't think of a million other scenarios where Booker T could have been shocked at something said? Like, that had to be said that day.
Just imagine. I know it was only 10 years ago, but imagine if that happened tomorrow night on Raw, or in this year.
That's a good point, because then you still have the excuse of it being entertainment, and it's definitely not getting accepted.
Mm-hmm.
There would be an uproar. You could still keep saying, "Oh, it's our television show. It's part of the show." No, crowd's not down with that.
Yeah, that's no excuse, man.
Yeah. So I only have one more. If you guys want to elaborate more, there's only one more thing I want to say about it too, and that's the Hall of Fame situation. Is that it goes back to what I was saying, that the WWE starts bringing too much negative attention to itself and its own skeletons in its closet. If you bring up the Hall of Fame, there are inductees that are part of the Hall of Fame that have a much, much worse history.
A lot more skeletons in their closets.
Mm-hmm.
Guys like Jimmy Snuka and his situation in Allentown. You guys are aware of that, right?
Kind of.
No?
No.
Okay. In the early 80s, he allegedly had a prostitute in his hotel room and murdered her in Allentown and got away with the murder.
Oh.
There are guys like Abdullah the Butcher, who I loved as a kid. He is still in the middle of a court case for contaminating people he was in the ring with and spreading hepatitis C. Again, I'm glad we approached this the way we did to completely make it clear that we do not make anything Hulk Hogan did okay. But if we're going to put that on the same playing field, murder, spreading hep C, to me, is a lot worse than language and speech. So I'm saying in the topic only of the Hall of Fame that if you were to remove Hulk Hogan, there are some other names that have to get kicked out too. Is that fair to say?
I share that opinion, and I think it harkens back to my point of you can take him out of the Hall of Fame, but you're never going to disassociate the two. You're never going to disassociate Hulk Hogan with wrestling. So there's really ultimately no real reason to do it other than to Pete Rose him.
Yeah. So, anything else you guys want to say?
Just want to say by saying that I am in no way defending him.
Right.
Pete Rose or Hulk Hogan?
Hulk Hogan.
So are we good on Hulk Hogan?
We're good on Hulk Hogan.
Okay. We'll see how this plays out. I think we've already pretty much got our answer of what's being done, but yeah.
So does this mean that we're not going to get like a Hulk Hogan Scott Steiner match at WrestleMania 32?
I wish. I wish.
No, but you might get that in Global Force. Because
that could happen. You know,
that.
I didn't read the article, but I did hear Scott Steiner spoke out against Hulk Hogan in comparing Hogan to Donald Sterling. And it was actually one of our guests in our previous show that explained to us that Scott Steiner himself had dropped the N-word. So
of course.
Who is, I love Big Papa Pump. He'll always be part of my heart, but who is he to be saying anything?
His first tweet was, "See, now do you believe me about how big of a piece of Hulk Hogan is?"
I don't know. Let's switch gears a little bit here.
So, this New Japan G1 Climax thing
kicked off this past week.
Yep. It started, I believe, last Sunday night, I believe. They've had the first 5 days of it. Hulk Hogan was actually part of the G1 Climax years ago. And I believe he won it.
Yeah.
Isn't he one of the
few times.
few Gaijins that's ever won?
Andre's French. Yeah, French.
Right.
And yeah, I can't think of which people outside of Japan have.
I think, didn't Chris Benoit win once, I believe?
He may. I know he was part of the Super Juniors, so he was part of the lighter weight division. But yeah, let's talk about the G1 Climax because they're 5 days in now. I've caught up with the first 4 days. One of the matches, the main event from the first day, actually received 4 3/4 stars from Dave Meltzer. I know to some people that doesn't mean crap.
It's high praise.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying Meltzer said it was good. That means it's good. It's just, it's something to notice.
Yeah, his standards are different than the casual fans, so.
Right. And the guy's been watching Japanese wrestling. I know he gets like a boner for it, and it's like his thing. But I'm saying the guy's watched it for decades now. He at least knows what he's talking about, even if he holds it in higher regard. But yeah, day one, Tanahashi Ibushi, the main event. Great match. AJ and Shibata was a match I was looking forward to.
I still have yet to see that.
Yeah, it's worth checking out, but it wasn't quite what I thought it would be. Actually, out of the first 4 days I've watched, my favorite match so far was a Shibata match, but it was between Shibata and Naito. It was part of day 3. Just really great match. Naito's now turning heel, and it's very interesting, and I think it's what he should have been doing, and it's the closest form of Shibata I've seen Shibata be as part of the Climax. It seemed like he was holding back a little bit in the AJ match, and that didn't, wasn't exactly what I wanted. But other matches of note was on day 2, Okada fought Michael Elgin. Michael Elgin is currently over in Japan doing the G1 Climax and over from Ring of Honor. Elgin's a guy that gets a lot of crap from the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community, which is a whole story I won't even get into, but a lot of people hate Michael Elgin with a passion now. But the guy's been doing great. He's been having good matches, and that Okada match was really good.
I remember, I think I pointed him out to you a few weeks ago on the show, and I said that Michael Elgin stood out to me on one of the ROH tapings that he did when he tagged with God, I can't remember right now. But
I think that was the 6-man tag.
It was a 6-man.
It was the Kingdom versus Elgin and Red Dragon.
Oh, it probably was Red Dragon. Yeah.
Elgin's a former Ring of Honor world champion. Actually, me and Andy went to Toronto, the All-Star Extravaganza for Ring of Honor, and that was the night Elgin lost the title to Jay Briscoe, which was also the catalyst as to why everyone hates Michael Elgin now. But we'll talk about that another day.
So could you explain to me, because I'm still trying to get the gist of the whole tournament thing. As we stand right now, no wrestler has more than 4 points. There's a number in the first block that are all tied with 4, and only a couple in Block B with 4. In the next week, are we going to see the same amount of matches, or is it going to be, well, because they've all had 3 now, are they facing the guys that are...
The way it works is that there's 10 guys in each block.
Right.
10 wrestlers in Block A, 10 wrestlers in Block B. The guys in Block A only fight each other, and the guys in Block B only fight each other.
Right.
So you get a winner from each block. A win gets you 2 points, a draw gets you a point, and losing gets you nothing.
Doesn't lose points, you just don't gain
You don't
anything.
lose points in any scenario. So that's the scoring system. Right now, there's only been the first 5 days. I haven't seen the 5th day yet. But yeah, it's still completely up in the air because a lot of guys, basically everyone who's in the lead right now has 4 points, no matter what block you're in.
Okay.
The only people to have no points whatsoever so far is Doc Gallows in Block A. He's alone in that. He's at the bottom. And in Block B, Michael Elgin, Tomoaki Hama, and Yujiro Takahashi have no points. You want to go over who is with 4 points right now?
Sure. In Block A, which seems to be the stacked block, we have a bunch of guys that are 2-1, I guess you could say right now. No one's undefeated. But topping the list is, of course, my boy, the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. And then tied with him also is Hiroshi Tanahashi, Tetsuya Naito, Shibata also has 4, Kota Ibushi, and Bad Luck Fale.
Fale, yes.
Fale.
That's for Block A. And for Block B?
For Block B, we got 3 guys with 4 points. Carl Anderson, Kazuchika Okada, and Tomohiro Ishii.
Yes.
So that's...
and everybody else falls into the middle. It's still very early on. Basically, we'll cover it while it's going on. We'll keep up with the points. But just from our own personal opinion, we'll give you what we thought were the best matches from the days. I'm the only one that's watched it here on the podcast so far. Andrew's going to catch up with it, and I'm sure once it's all over and we have the best matches, Andy will see what the best stuff was. But yeah, this is something we can't ignore. It's one of the best times of the year for New Japan, and you end up getting a lot of great matches. But what's that?
Sorry, I was just going to say, and to like the casual wrestling fan, like I could kind of describe myself as, I guess, it may seem like, oh, it's just something, New Japan and Japan Pro Wrestling is doing. But when you look at the guys that have taken part of this tournament and have won, you're talking, if you want to talk about guys that are relevant to WWE or WWF, you have Hulk Hogan. You have Andre the Giant, who won it, if I count this right, twice on here. Just quickly going through the
Antonio Inoki.
Yeah, Antonio Inoki is another one. Okada, it looks like, won 2 as well.
Okada won last year.
Nakamura and then Naito.
He won the Climax 24. But yeah, even for this year, guys like Doc Gallows was in CM Punk's Straight Edge Society.
Yeah.
AJ Styles, everyone knows from TNA. Michael Elgin, from Ring of Honor. Carl Anderson was in Ring of Honor for a while. So I think for somebody who at least watches some stuff outside the WWE, if you're not familiar with New Japan, you can watch it and still kind of at least know what's up.
It would be I'm beginning to have so much more respect for the wrestling culture throughout the world as we talk about lucha and how it's a big thing in Mexico and it's part of life. It makes the newspapers.
It's a big
there.
thing in Japan.
Too. And if AJ Styles, I'm not saying he will, I'm not saying there's a chance for him to win this, but if he did, he'd be mentioned among some of the greatest names that this profession has.
To tell you the truth, that's actually very likely because it's not a guaranteed thing, but usually the people who win the G1 Climax get the world title shot at Wrestle Kingdom, the big Tokyo Dome show, like their WrestleMania, and the world champion right now is Okada. Okada is the guy who beat AJ Styles for the world title. So there's a very good chance AJ Styles could win this.
I think it's just a great thing. And I also love that the champ takes a part of it, too.
Yeah, well, he was part of it before he became champion.
Yeah.
But AJ was part of it when he was champion. So, yeah. But we'll keep up with this over the course of the tour. And just to end it off, I'll say from the first 4 days, I'm giving it to Shibata and Naito as the best match of the tournament so far.
I'm going to check that out.
But yeah, that's a lot of Japanese stuff.
It is. Man, every time you guys say those names, I get so hungry.
Yeah.
Like that one guy that sounds like Chibata. Every time you say that, you're like, at one point you said it like, yeah, Chibata. I'm like, yeah, Chibata. I could go for Chibata. You got a Chibata.
I think we made some listeners hungry, too, probably.
Oh.
So hungry. Hungry for freedom.
Yeah. Let's get some freedom.
Freedom.
Some red, white, and blue pulsing through our veins.
The dog days of summer are upon us. The traffic on the New Jersey parkways slow as molasses in January on a Friday afternoon. So now that the summer is roughly half over, or more than that for some of us, you may be going to the beach, soaking in the rays, maybe surfing, but be careful out there. Professional surfer Mick Fanning was attacked while participating in a competition, came out unharmed, and actually returned to the water about 2 days ago. Gotta give it to the boys from Australia. Everything is trying to kill them in that country, so they're pretty tough. Good on you, mate. Big ups to you surfers. Hang 10, Big Kahuna, Longboard, other surfing phrase that would fit in this context. Anyways.
Tubular.
Peace out, Cub Scouts.
And Cowabunga.
Cowabunga.
Oh, I forgot Cowabunga. How could I forget Cowabunga?
Yeah.
That hurts.
Wah, 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 wah.
You know what also hurts?
Chops.
Oh,
Chops do hurt.
Oh,
Chops
yeah.
hurts so much.
Chops hurt a lot.
Oh my.
And that's why we do our Chops of the Week.
It is. That's exactly why we do them. And, you know, after watching this past, I don't know if it was happened this past week, but when the Big Show slapped that one guy whose name I don't care to remember.
ZZ.
ZZ.
Yeah, that was a good. I might grab that one.
Okay.
I like that one.
I'd be down for the ZZ chop.
I like the
being our
ZZ
sound
chop. Oh my god, it's like ZZ Top.
effect. ZZ chop.
ZZ Chop.
I done next
All
week.
right.
Next week.
I will
should
have
make
that for
like
next
a-
week.
I think we should make a montage of Chops.
Yep.
Drive a
some of
girl crazy with a man.
Chops of the Week. Sound
Chops.
effect.
Tell me that wasn't. Come on. You'd be okay with that.
It works.
It does.
Or it could be honky tonk, but chop a chop. No, that's terrible.
I'm not even going to try.
All right, me and Andrew talked a lot about the G1 Climax. I think you should go first, Andy, for your chop of the week.
Floor is yours.
Okay. So, my chop of the week goes to most of SummerSlam was kind of hinted at this past week on Raw, with the main bill going to The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. And I don't like how this fares for either of them at the conclusion of the match. Because if Brock wins, he beats up The Undertaker again.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes The Undertaker look stupid. And then what does The Undertaker do now? Like, is he just going to, like, crawl around, like, licking his wounds until WrestleMania? And then is he going to win again? Or is he not? Is he going to participate?
Yeah.
And if The Undertaker wins, everything that we've seen from Brock Lesnar since he's come back and been dominating is completely moot.
You think so, though?
I don't.
Because
Look at the way he manhandled him at WrestleMania 30. I mean, yeah, I know he gave him a concussion and all that stuff, so he was like wasn't really there. But like, Brock Lesnar's like a machine. He's like terrifying. Like, I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones. He's the fucking mountain.
what if
I love when he starts with that.
lights go out
Mm-hmm.
and Sting comes out and you don't have to worry about a finish?
I'd be okay with that as long because I feel like that kind of ending would be the only way that you could make it where they both still look super strong. In their
I
own
don't think it's
respective ways.
happening. but,
No.
yeah.
It'd be the second event in a row where half of the main event just leaves the ring, right? And the Brock Lesnar disappears, and then Sting and Undertaker. But to speak to Andy's point, I think that would make a lot more sense for me, at least, if this rematch was going to be at WrestleMania. Because then you're like, well, Undertaker needs to win now at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That's when he lost. But this is different because it's more of a revenge thing. As Undertaker said, you had to keep running your mouth about beating me. Now it's personal. He didn't really have anything personal against Brock going into that. That was just how are you going to...
And I don't like that either. It makes Undertaker sound like a little kid. Like, you kept making fun of me, guy.
Yeah.
You didn't have to say that. Like, it would have been cooler if he was like, you know, you beat me, and, you know, I underestimated you, so I bided my time, and I watched you from the shadows, and I took out Bray Wyatt, the new face of fear, as, like, a test to myself to see if I could still do it.
Right.
That would have been fucking cool. But no, you get him like, don't say that, guy. Well, not in that words, but that's what I felt like. Come on, Undertaker, it's like, I almost want him to go back to being like Dead Man Inc. and just like, I'll make you famous.
American
No
badass.
more motorcycles.
I want him.
No.
I want that Taker. I want like
Limp
just
Bizkit.
whatever.
I'll take more Limp Bizkit. But
Always.
I'm joking.
Always.
All right, Andrew, your chop of the week.
My chop, you know, I could say that it's to ROH for not having more than one match on their card, even though it was one of the best matches I've seen. It could be for the fact that I tuned into TNA just for... It's funny because I only have one note here about them, and it was the opening segment where Dixie Carter says Jeff Jarrett's getting inaugurated into the Hall of Fame. And then I must have just either zoned out or found out that I am alive and not sleeping, and realized I could be doing something better with my time. But my chop of the week goes to that Byron Saxton, because
Oh wow.
I am so tired of you, Byron. You have 1 hour to really promote yourself and the company that you love and a job that people would murder to have. Just saying. And you take this opportunity to say things like wacky waving arm guys when Bailey comes out instead of wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube men from Weekapaw.
Preach.
And let the chips fall where they do. Where did you learn to talk? Where did you grow up? In a box? Did you read these on the back of a cereal box? Come on, man. Get with it. You are given an opportunity. Anyway, that's not good English. All right. I see the hypocrisy there. But you are given an opportunity. Not many are given that others would
Just
kill
imagine
for.
if Vince McMahon was screaming in your ear right now and you're still trying to pull that off. That's what Byron's dealing with.
Ugh, but come on, man. If Michael Cole can do it.
Say stop.
Promote the match.
Talk about his head.
Talk about a fight going on somewhere else.
Oh wow.
If that Raw the Raw after Mania wasn't enough of a travesty.
I actually just went back and watched that like a week ago.
The Raw.
Just for the sake of Bryan and Ziggler, but I kept it on and watched the whole thing. Man, that is a special night for Byron Saxton.
Chop of the week.
All right, and my chop of the week, I cannot believe that I'm the only one doing it. Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan gets my chop of the week.
Too easy, though.
I was going to add in as a double chop to that whole WWE hypocrisy situation, but to tell you the truth, I don't really think the hypocrisy is fully there with them eliminating him from, all promotional materials. The hypocrisy with me is the Hall of Fame situation, and that's not official yet, so I can't even give that to them. Full chop, just a Hulk Hogan for the controversy.
Well, that was a list of bad things, which is... I wish I had a better segue. I'm sorry. I really thought I was going to come up with something. It was just going to happen. Like there was some magic was going to happen as I said it.
Here's something that Byron Saxton can't screw up.
I'm so glad that played when I hit play. You have no idea how sketchy this can be sometimes. Sometimes I'll be like, yeah. I'll click it. It's like, come on.
Oh,
it's like it feels like eternity. So that worked well. Very well. So my pop goes to the Divas division, actually. Like everything. Like company-wide. I love it. Like, I was so nervous about Sasha Banks. I was so nervous about her. And watching her sit on commentary, man, she's a boss.
Yeah.
She is such a boss. And then you have Bayley starting her push towards the NXT title, like, decidedly beating Emma and, like, showing some aggression, which was nice.
Yeah.
You had Eva Marie come out and have her first match, which wasn't awful.
It was awful.
What do you think? What do you think about Super Eva? We're getting Super
With the
Eva.
robe?
I felt it was very Flair.
Yeah,
And, like,
if
in a
anything,
bad
give
way.
that to Charlotte.
Yeah.
You know?
She needs a better entrance. I don't like the music. The music sucks. And I think she smiles a little bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's having, like, too good of a time if she's supposed to be, like, heelish. Maybe she kind of, like, Game of Thrones again. Hey, Marjorie Tyrell or Natalie Dormer, for anyone else out there. She's got that weird, like, smirk smile thing. That's kind of, like, bitchy. That would be great for Eva Marie. And I actually really like her finisher. I think it's cool.
It's like the Spike Dudley thing, right?
I didn't even.
She like,
she does the sliced bread number 2 from Brian Kendrick, right?
Yeah.
The one problem I had was at the end of the match, she had like literally a drop of blood come out of her nose.
Yeah.
She could not take her mind off of anything but that. That's my problem, is I can understand you're at the beginning of your career, you're at day one, everybody has to start somewhere, you have to learn all that. But if that sort of thing bothers you, she's not going to last. She's going to have some type of... Look at Naomi. She had a broken orbital bone. She could have been blinded for the sake of this business. I think if Eva Marie faces anything even close to that, she's getting out because she realizes she could have a modeling career or, an acting career. Look at Nikki Bella. She had a tooth knocked out. She still never got an implant. Well, she got implants, but not for her tooth.
Not for that.
So, yeah, like, I want to see Eva Marie when she gets a tooth knocked out, when she breaks her orbital bone, when she breaks her nose.
Yeah.
See if she sticks around then, because if a drop of blood out of your nose bothers you...
She did seem kind of, like, hesitant a lot, too. Like, she seemed like she was moving, like, 3/4 speed.
Yeah.
It was way too orchestrated.
It did. It felt very like, she was like, okay, now I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that match was booked
Right.
from start to finish.
Yeah.
There was no improv in that. But I do see what you're saying, though.
It's
Divas Division is killing it.
Leaps and bounds better from what Eva Marie did on, like, whatever.
The irony of what you said, Shane, is the blood's bothering her, and her slogan is "All Red Everything."
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I agree with Andy's point.
Could you imagine if she came out and, like, her music hit and then, like, a bucket of blood dropped on her? Like
Gangrel.
That would be ridiculous.
But yeah, I agree with what you're saying, and I think that a few things are obvious in the near future for the Divas division. One, they're going to force feed us Eva Marie. Two, they're going to give a super push to Charlotte, obviously. But the thing I'm reading the most of within the IWC is that everybody wants Sasha. Everybody wants more of her. Man.
She's on her own level.
She really is.
Yeah. All right, your pop of the week?
I so badly wanted to give it to Heyman's best line of the year. You can sell your soul to the devil, but your ass belongs to Brock Lesnar. But
I think that was actually his wedding vows with Sable.
But my pop's going to go to the main event of Raw, which was Summer Rae versus Lana, with a side of a tag team match, Cesaro, Cena, Orton, and versus Sheamus, Owens, and Rusev, whatever. But the main part was the real fight that's happening right before our eyes. Lana.
The beauty.
Lana versus the wannabe. I thought that was beautiful what she did. She does it right in front of Lana, and then Lana's like that girl who's just watched literally her ex-boyfriend make out with another woman, and then comes out during the match and boom, right in the face.
You miss that Attitude Era catfight scene. You miss it.
I feel like they've come so far, but at the same time, they're still doing that. You know what? But I love that stuff so much. Like, those matches were so, like, what was it? Like, the match in the gravy? Like, that's fucking ridiculous. Like, come on. Yeah.
That could be in Summer Rae and Lana's future. Is there like a Russian food that's liquid that they could...
Borscht?
Yes, borscht.
It's like purple. It's like purple cabbage soup.
Borscht, a pool of borscht. Oh, can you imagine the possibilities?
I will crush you in the borscht.
What they have between those two is just special, and it's funny that Summer Rae has like been this. Her entire career in the WWE has just been awful because she's made out to be that I don't want to say harlot, but like that girl who's just known for like boyfriends cheating on them and getting back at them. Summer Rae is so typecast, and Lana is what everybody wanted from her. Thank you.
Well, speaking of pools of borscht, my pop of the week goes to Jushin Thunder Liger, appearing for NXT.
What?
Yeah, they made the. Yeah, it has nothing.
Where's the borscht?
Nothing to do with the pool of borscht. But I think we just created a great gimmick match for the WWE that they need to capitalize on. Yeah, so Jushin Thunder Liger is going to be at the NXT pay-per-view or network special, whatever you want to call it, in Brooklyn. And I'm very excited, and I'm just as excited that Tyler Breeze will be his opponent. It's going to be a very special thing, and I'm psyched to see it. I also kind of included in my Pop of the Week that the G1 Climax was kicked off, but I have a feeling that over the course of the 19 days of their tour, there will be a match alone that will be my Pop of the Week. So I'll put that to the side. But Liger in NXT, crazy. Nobody saw it coming. New Japan isn't working with the WWE, so it's something that nobody expected. But yeah, seeing Liger in a WWE ring is going to be pretty damn cool.
Do you think they're going to sell any of his merch?
I don't think so. I think that would be the part that would get technical with New Japan owning rights, but
Yeah.
it's the WWE. I wouldn't be surprised with anything anymore.
So I want to buy a mask.
I'm not going to lie. When I first read about that, I thought they just spelled his name wrong. I thought it was Justin, but they just like forgot the T, and I'm like, that's weird. And then I looked into it a little further, and like, oh, I'm an idiot.
He is a veteran. But yeah, show's over. Bye, guys. See ya later.
So have fun. Keep cool. Party time.
But wait, there's more.
Booyah.
We're back.
There's so much more.
So much more.
And we don't have a lot of time to get through it
don't.
all.
Let's
So
go another round.
Let's go through and then pick one, maybe two.
Here's what I'm going to do. Some of it, there's nothing to talk about, so I'm just going to say it. The stuff that you guys can join in on, we'll stop for. Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor, was a pay-per-view they had this past Friday. Most notable thing of that, the main event went for 1 hour.
Oh, my.
It was a Broadway match, time limit draw between Roderick Strong and the champion Jay Lethal. Usually, you would give kudos to that, but it kind of got boring to a lot of people. It was one of those matches that shouldn't have been an hour long. But I could be wrong. Some people are praising it, but from what I've heard, it wasn't. It shouldn't have been 60 minutes. But yeah, I love Ring of Honor. We'll keep.
Wait, who won?
It was a time limit draw, so Lethal keeps the championship. Also, today is American Rana, which is the biggest event of the year for Beyond Wrestling, which is an indie company that I've been following for a while now, and they're great. I'm really looking forward to this. It's happening right now as we tape this on Sunday night. Obviously, we don't have the results until it's done. We'll probably talk about that next week. But yeah, it's like their WrestleMania of the year. Tigre Uno goes after Donald Trump on Impact Wrestling because, again, with a famous public figure making some racist comments, he went after him for his rant about Mexicans.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything to add to that?
It was pretty emotional.
Imagine Tigre Uno tagging with El Chapo versus Vince McMahon and Donald Trump at WrestleMania 32.
I'd pay for it.
I'm taking Vince and Trump.
The real question is, who would botch more, Tigre Uno or Donald Trump? And in other news, PWG had an event at their normal spot in California. The event was called Three Mendes. I'm not going to give away any spoilers or anything or go through the card. The thing that made the news, though, was that Seth Rollins was in attendance hiding in the backstage area. Dave Meltzer showed up to this event, which he had been wanting to go to a PWG show for a while now. When Dave Meltzer can't get tickets to a wrestling show, that just shows how high the demand is and makes me want to kick myself for getting a ticket and not going. William Regal was also there, and he was scouting talent for the WWE.
Oh, what does he know?
Any PWG guys getting signed soon?
Hey.
Maybe.
Probably not.
I have Liger in NXT, but we already talked about that. Daniel Bryan.
The GOAT.
He
The greatest
is
of all time. Yes, that's correct.
And he looks like a goat.
Exactly. Greatest of all time. He's been cleared by his doctors, and specifically his neurologist, for being okay to return to the ring. He's also talked about, what was it, deadlift it? Put it on your shoulders? And
Shoulder press.
shoulder press? Yeah.
Military press.
Like 270. So he's in great shape, but the WWE does not want to take the risk right now of putting him back in the ring. How do you guys feel about that?
I'm happy they're being safe, but from what I heard, he's like not expecting to come back till the Royal Rumble. That's so far.
See, but that seems like a booking decision to me. Because if he's okay now, he doesn't have to wait till January.
Right.
They're just saying storyline-wise, they want him to have that Rumble win.
I don't know. And I have to wait for him for then I got to wait till 2016 for Sami Zayn. It's too much for my heart to take.
And Hideo Itami.
It's too much. My heart, it can't take this.
My opinion is that WWE, business-wise, is about to make the worst decision in their history.
How so?
I don't think he wrestles another match for WWE.
That could be a possibility. One thing we're not mentioning is that in this interview that he gave where he gave an update on his condition, he said that he's in the position now where he sat down with Triple H and Vince McMahon, and being an independent contractor, I don't want to say threatened, because you can't really threaten Vince McMahon, but he said, if you're not going to let me wrestle, I'll go wrestle somewhere else, if he's healthy.
He's got such a following. He has leverage here. Leverage that Punk didn't really have. I know it's not the same thing, but
I guess he would finish out his contract, which, from what I understand, would actually be next summer. So it's interesting what they're going to do. But do you guys remember, I think, well, it wasn't last week because that was Battleground, but the week before that, do you remember my prediction for WrestleMania? Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus.
Sheamus. Right. I was going to say
Sheamus
Ziggler.
has the Money in the Bank briefcase right now.
Yeah.
What if that's the WWE World Heavyweight title match for the biggest WrestleMania ever? Daniel Bryan wins the Royal Rumble. He becomes #1 contender. Over the course of from now till Mania, Sheamus cashes in and wins the title. That's the title match.
And they've been pushing for that match to do something for quite some time.
That's what I mean. There's so much history with the Sheamus-Bryan match at Mania that it kind of, I don't know, makes sense.
I see it.
But we'll see how that plays out. I also have Taker returning to Raw on here, which we kind of covered already. Is there any? You were talking about the promo that Heyman cut. Is there anything you want to elaborate on Taker?
I think I think honestly the foundation was already set, but this match is being put on a new platform in a way that makes it's going to draw a lot of people. It's going to draw a lot of heads. A lot of people are going to watch this match in anticipation, and the fact that it's now personal for Undertaker, even though it's not at WrestleMania, I think that's going to be something special. Undertaker returning, something nobody foresaw a year and a half ago. Undertaker returning at a time that isn't WrestleMania season, something nobody saw.
You know, I gotta say, as much as I didn't like that like pull-apart brawl thing was pretty sweet.
That's what I wanted to bring up.
That was pretty sweet. And the way that they were he slid out underneath and that was pretty cool.
You know what I thought was great about it? The announcers leaving.
Yeah.
It truly made it seem like they actually thought through their booking. Like, they made it seem like him ending the streak is as big as you make it to seem. And the night after WrestleMania this year, where Cole got attacked and all that, it made it seem like you are not safe just being in that general area. That I thought was some great booking.
Yeah, this is Vegeta versus Goku. It's like the second best quote of the night was Lesnar saying, "I'm going to kill you," to which Undertaker replied, "You're going to have to."
Yep. What if he does kill him?
He's going to have
seriously, to. What if he does, he does an F5 and then he's just dead? He just makes him dead.
And that's why you tune into the WWE Network for $9.99.
How much?
$9.99.
$9.99.
So I don't want to spend a lot of time on this one because I don't care about the cast of Tough Enough this year. But it made news for the fact that they eliminated Patrick, who was looked at as the only true WWE fan. I also want to point out the fact that on the very last Tough Enough that Hulk Hogan was ever on, the only black guy got eliminated.
What bad business.
Maybe maybe they'll like get rid of somebody else and be like, no, we messed up. It was a bad vote or something.
You know,
well, I
what's
mean,
funny?
if somebody gets injured, they could bring somebody.
Don't
back.
I only saw the show once and I hated it, but don't they have a rule where like the panel has one celebrity
one
bring
save.
back?
No,
one
like save, not
oh,
bring
one
back.
save.
They would have had to have saved them this past week, but they didn't.
Okay, one of the common similarities between that show and American Idol. Just saying.
But
well,
that's enough.
American Idol's over, man. It's like the
Oh,
last
that's
one.
what I'm saying.
It's over.
It is over, but
it's antiquated.
so is Tough Enough.
That's enough about Tough Enough. Though. Last item. We did not forget about you, Global Force. Global Force Wrestling kicked off their company. I know they had the minor league baseball stadium house shows, but this was their first TV taping. I'm giving them kudos. They did a good job. And there was a picture that circulated online, of course, of somebody trying to tear them down because they took a picture when doors first opened and made it look like nobody was there. Not with empty seats, but like only like a scattering of people. When the camera started rolling, that arena in Las Vegas was packed. Packed. Completely filled. It looked great. The matches were the kickoff of a tournament for each one of their champions. They have what's called a Next Gen Championship, which is like the X Division type, like their lightweight division. Justin Gabriel from the WWE was part of it. He's now called PJ Black. Sonata, who was in TNA, was in it. Rude, Magnus, all those guys were in it. But yeah, just want to give kudos because we have ripped them apart, and I always said it was nothing personal, that if they did a good job, I would credit them with it. And I'll close out the show with saying it looks like they did a great job on their first TV taping, and I'll give it a shot.
I hope they do well, because if it's true that Daniel Bryan might be leaving, he might go there.
I think he would go to Ring of Honor, probably.
Back.
He does have a lot of history with Ring of Honor.
Yeah. But, I mean, just in general, making a better company that's another option outside of the WWE is a great thing for any one of the workers.
That would really send a message to Vince and them, I think.
Well, I mean, when you're a threat, it is a message, because look at Ring of Honor. They tried to run a show in Brooklyn the day before SummerSlam. Not the day of, just like, hey, we're going to capitalize on the weekend. They're like, nope.
Yep.
NXT. So when you're a threat, they'll go to battle.
Well, maybe now we're kind of done.
Oh, is that what this feeling is? This feeling of loss? I know you're sad, Internet. I know you are sad that we won't be here right now. But hey, thank you for listening to this episode. And if you liked it, please like it, subscribe, and if you're feeling extra frisky, go check out our catalog, which you can find on our YouTube channel.
So much fun.
It's just it's right underneath the video. You just got to click it. It's one little button. There it is. Subscribe. Hey, here we are. I am Andy. Contact me at chopsandpopspodcast@gmail.com. That's probably the easiest way to find me. And if you want to find me, I don't tweet anymore for whatever reason, just because it's just a lot of work now, because we do the live review of the pay-per-view and it messes up with the audio. But I am on Twitter at YDNAGIACCONE. That's YDNAGIACCONE. Booyah.
My name is Andrew, and I'm going to be running the Chops and Pops Twitter, which I'm going to be creating later this week, if not later tonight. I'm not going to have it available yet because I don't know what's available online to use as a Twitter handle, but that'll be the way to reach me when it goes up, and all of our listeners will be the first to know. That being said...
And what you gonna do when Chops and Pops runs wild on you? See you next week.
Bye.